and encourage audience participation in the discussion following the talks. So that the idea is that the talks are designed to encourage audience participation. We want to have your input, your experiences, your understanding. Today the topic is going to be on transpersonal psychology, and I've heard many different ideas about what psychology is on Second Life. So I'd like to have your, and all of us would, Venus would, I'm sure, like to have your input following her talk. So we'll be starting in about 5 minutes, just to give latecomers a chance to arrive. Let me check local chat. Sorry. Now I found that I could understand Venus a lot better after I turned my volume down. Facilitators at the Mystic Academy, so we're privileged to have her. Mystic Academy is a large spiritual community in Second Life. It has more than 24 most part sought researcher on the spiritual journey of self-discovery, and considers herself to be an open-minded individual with a huge interest in the human psyche, and a person with a quest for wholeness. In her real life, she's a 38-year-old entrepreneur with an entrepreneurship university degree and has owned her own business since 1995. She's also been, and you'll find this interesting, a Serbo-Croatian interpreter in Toronto, Canada, since 2012, and is currently starting up an online New Age store called the Age of Aquarius. She's an artist and a writer, an ex-horse breeder, an endurance racer, and a tennis player, in love with nature and with self-sufficient living. Her interest in psychology dates from 2008, when she was a senior student at Bern University and was asked to assist a business psychology professor in a scientific project that investigated how to make people and organizations more effective. This project was based on social science research methods to study people, workplaces, and organizations in order to understand them better and to align their multiple needs. And since then, she's been doing her own research on Jungian psychology, and most recently on transpersonal psychology. That was inspired by the work of Stanislav Grof, Abraham Maslow, Richard Alpert, who took the name of Ram Dass, Timothy Leary, and others in that field. Very interesting field it is too. With that introduction, let me say that I'm very privileged to have Venus Kerr speak today to you on transpersonal psychology.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you, Robert. I hope everybody can hear me. So hello one more time. I hope everybody is in their comfortable positions by now. In couches, because we are going to have like a psychological session. Well, I would really like to have this introduction into transpersonal psychology to you guys here, because I think that every person who lives in spiritual reality will, in one point of time, need spiritual psychology. So I will ask Dragon right away if he can just pass the first graph that I want to explain about the world we live in and the one that is spiritual, reality-based that I want to explain to you. So when everybody gets the graph, just confirm, and then I will just start, because we were trying to use the screen behind me so I can present it this way, but the screen, we have some technical problems with it, so I will just try and explain it like this. Okay, so I hope everybody has it by now. Okay, I will start talking and you can just follow as you open. So we all live in this physical world reality, basically. Most of us do. There is a negative and positive side of it, and what we are basically doing is trying to achieve as much as we can. We are going from the negative to positive and trying to be successful, and first to finish the school, and then university, and then have a good job or start our own business, and everything is going towards some kind of success, which is normal for every human being. But with time, we all come to the point where we are not satisfied with any amount of success, if I can say that we achieve, and then the psychology, like normal, regular psychology, sometimes cannot do very much on the side when the people are not satisfied in the spiritual way. So there is also another reality that we live in as well. It's called spiritual reality, and that is the learning line, we call it here, the learning line. So today I will tell you a little bit about the meaning of the word transpersonal. I will tell you about history of transpersonal psychology and how it is today. So the meaning of the word transpersonal can be divided into trans, which translates to beyond, and personal, which refers to personality. Therefore, transpersonal spiritual psychology is a field of psychology that studies the human aspect that goes beyond the realm in which the so-called normal personality operates. The discipline attempts to describe and integrate spiritual experience within modern psychological theory and to formulate new theory to encompass such experience. Studying transpersonal psychology often involves studying spirituality and the parts of the ego that are typically unexplored. So because this field is so because this field of psychology deals with spirituality, it often involves getting familiar with previously unknown levels of consciousness and life beyond the physical plane. So if you go ahead and look up the word psyche in the dictionary, you will find words like breath, principle of life, soul. But if you look up like for the word psychology, you'll find the science of mind and behavior. Somehow in the translation from essence to practice, the most important aspect of psyche has been lost. So, spiritual psychology is the study and practice of the art and science of conscious awakening. To engage in this genre, we must begin by distinguishing the essence of human evolution. What does it mean to evolve? In short, it means learning how to identify and then recognize and navigate successfully within the context of spiritual reality. Practically, it means learning how to surrender or let go of anything that disturbs one's peace. It also means sacrificing our illusion of separation. This is just an illusion. So essentially, this surrendering and sacrificing is work that has been called healing. So this includes healing on the physical, mental, and emotional levels, in service to the deeper revelation of who we truly are as loving, peaceful, as loving and peaceful beings, as our authentic selves. So transpersonal psychology has one of the most interesting histories of all fields of psychology as well. It started during the psychedelic hippie wave of the 1960s. And it was around this time that two Harvard psychologists, Richard Alpert, also known as Ramdas, and Timothy Leary, began experimenting with psychedelic drugs, namely LSD and psychedelic mushrooms. So their experiments were meant to discover altered states of consciousness and transpersonal aspects of the human psyche. Although these two unorthodox professionals were fired from the university after their unusual experiments, the seed of transpersonal psychology had been planted and had begun to grow. So in 1967, a small group of psychology professionals gathered to create a field of psychology with the purpose of studying all areas of human existence, including transpersonal existence. So from this group, transpersonal psychology began to come into its own. Today, psychedelic drugs are not used in the field of transpersonal psychology. Well, at least not in the traditional circles. It is, however, still a growing field, especially considering we humans are becoming more spiritual and looking for new holistic ways to feel better about ourselves and our lives. So why do we need transpersonal psychology, you might ask, and also you may ask, why now? So change is taking place on our planet. You can all see how the changes are going on in our world. So the nature of this change is historically different from anything we have previously experienced. Because of the enormous destructive power now available, the world is being challenged to learn how to get along or pay the consequences, which could be extremely high. Further, since the pace of change is clearly accelerating, we do not appear to have the luxury of time to waste. From within the context of spiritual psychology, the only way to truly promote peace is for there to be more peaceful individuals living in the world. In this context, it is accurate to say that as people evolve spiritually, they naturally become more peaceful. It is also true that enhanced peace is an individual phenomenon. So the more one learns to surrender whatever they experience with themselves, the more peaceful they become. Spiritual psychology is a response to this global need. That is why we need it. It teaches the skills of unresolved issue resolution. An issue is anything that that disturbs your peace. So we must learn how to do not only embrace who we are as spiritual beings, having a human experience, but also use that recognition as a foundation for healing. As the evolutionary tide is rising and large numbers of people are beginning to awaken to the awareness that they are, in fact, divine beings having a human experience. The principles and practices of spiritual psychology provide both a context and tools for living into that awareness in everyday life. And by the way, as we move forward, these very same skills will be exactly the same ones that will be highly valued as we transform into a more peaceful and highly globalized world. So, transpersonal psychology has 21 principles here that I would like to share with you. So the first one is that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. The second one is that the nature of the universe is love. The third one would be that our natural human state is also love. All of life is for learning. An unresolved issue is anything that disturbs your peace. All upset, so anything that you're upset about, basically, points to unresolved issue. Issues are not bad, rather spiritual growth. So you need to understand this one. So those issues that come up often, that we can be aware of if we are lucky, we should see them as opportunities for spiritual growth, not as something bad that we are having in us, or something that we are not do enough work with. It's just something that we should keep on working with, but just rather to understand it, that it's just another opportunity for growing. So nothing outside of you causes your disturbances. This is really interesting saying. Nothing outside of you causes your disturbances. I think that is true because, most of us, we can deal with any of the problem. We have always a choice and the free will to do whatever we want, basically. And also we can choose to be affected by something, and we can choose not to be affected by something. But that is easier said than done, of course. It's not always easy. But basically, I think it's true, because nothing outside really, if we choose not to, can cause us any disturbances. So you are completely responsible for your experiences in life. That is something that I would really agree with. So whatever happens in your life, when a person takes responsibility for it, it keeps him away from blaming others for such a thing. That's why, in the world, why is this all racism or nationalism or whatever it's happening? It's because we are blaming other people for stuff that we can see that we are the ones that can also in any time have a choice to change it. And then we have physical world reality exists for spiritual growth. Physical world reality exists for spiritual growth. So as I show you on this graph that the dragon sent you around, we live simultaneously in 2 realities. Well, some of us, they want to accept that they are living in spiritual reality, but most of us, they don't want to accept it, even though it all comes to this in the end. So, yeah, whatever happens in the physical world, in material world that we live in, is also just one opportunity for spiritual growth. And then spirit meets you at your point of action. What you believe determines your experience. Yeah, this is interesting. What you believe determines your experience. Your future is created based on how you respond to current experiences. The issue isn't the issue, so those issues that you find in yourself, the issue is not the issue. The real issue is how you are with yourself as you go through the issue. Healing is the application of loving to the places inside that hurt. Every time an individual resolves a single issue, all of humanity moves forward in this evolution, in its evolution. So every time you come to solve that issue in you that you have, you influence all of the humanity just by doing that. Spiritual growth is a process, not an event. Direct experience is how belief is turned into knowing. So through our experiences, what we believe turns into knowing. Or also, if we know something, we can change our beliefs based on that. Judgment is self-condemnation. Self-forgiveness is freedom. Judgment is self-condemnation, and self-forgiveness is freedom. So your human experience on earth is your school. Your primary goal is to accept and master the lessons from this school. And the last one, a life filled with acceptance is a life free of unnecessary emotional suffering. And here I have a little bit about what does a transpersonal psychologist do. Okay, so transpersonal therapists work directly with people that might be lost spiritually, or just those that are looking for help finding themselves in order to live a happier life. Professionals in this field might use a number of different types of therapy and counseling to help guide their patients. They might use talk therapy, for instance, just as a traditional psychologist would. However, they might also combine this traditional type of therapy with spiritual aspects as well. Therapy and counseling in transpersonal psychology might involve such things as meditation, dream work, altered states of consciousness, and vision quests. These types of therapies can be used to help patients see themselves not merely as flesh, blood, and bones, but as divine individuals with a heightened sense of the world around them. Yeah. So yeah, that is what I wanted to talk to you about. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Very interesting talk, Venus. I suppose that we might think of a person going through life, attempting to deal with many issues that come up, constantly choosing, and essentially creating their own future and the type of person that they're going to become. The goal, it might seem, for a spiritually oriented person would be that of self-transcendence, would it not? That's my question, to transcend oneself and to have a realization of the sacred, a sense of communion with it, a sense of identity with it, knowing that we are that same thing.
Mm-hmm. So, when we ask ourselves a question, who am I? And what is my purpose here? Those are all the questions that it's very hard to answer through psychology, like regular psychology. Those are the big questions that people ask themselves. And in one point in time, like after you go through all these phases that I was talking about on this graph, in our physical reality, we come to the point where we see that nothing really satisfies, nothing really makes us whole. That is the main problem in psychology, that people are that then identified with anxiety and depression and all those things that psychology is pointing on, not realizing that underneath we are divine beings that can, that can solve those issues that we have if we work on ourselves, if we if we are able to take time for ourselves to see into our issues and into our problems that we have in a deeper level, in the spiritual reality. Many people are afraid of going into the spiritual reality, so they would, find out something they don't want to, they are hiding from, they don't want to see. But once you are faced with your fears and problems and things, you can solve them much better. You can transcend very quickly if you take time for yourself, if you start to appreciate yourself more. And there is where transpersonal psychology is helping you out. They are helping you out in that reality, in your spiritual reality. And I think it's very necessary in the world right now, because people are awakening. They are really starting to see beyond our physical realm, beyond the physical reality we live in. I don't know if I answered your question. Was that your question?
Yes.
Hey, Rob. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that is the reason why we are presenting transpersonal psychology here today. Most people did not hear about it so much, so they are not so familiar with that term. It's also called spiritual psychology. Maybe some of you heard about that term. It's just something that can help you out having more blissful life, basically, and to get to know yourself for who you really are. As we are, as I said, just spiritual beings having the human experience, not humans having the spiritual one. Any other questions? Oh, do I have a web link for that? Yeah, yes, I do have some links that where I got this, like the sources. I can give you all the links I have that I used in this presentation. Just give me a moment, so you can see my sources that I used for this. Okay. Have any of you heard about Stanislav Grof or any of the people that I mentioned in my presentation? Because I would rather share videos with you. Also, the sources I used are from Saint Monique University in US. They are having transpersonal psychology as a class, as a like a program, like a study program for 2 years that people are going there and becoming transpersonal psychologists. And many other, basically many other universities are now starting to have the same program. So I will share some of my links with you. Just a second, let me get them. And in the meantime, you can go ahead and ask me questions that you might have.
Testing. Yes. It's my understanding that transpersonal psychology really grew out of humanistic psychology, that itself was a reaction to behavioral psychology, with all the focus on the mundane things about learning and memory, intelligence, so on, things like that, that really didn't get to the question of the living person and the problem face.
Well, Maslow, the psychologist Maslow, he realized that when he was studying that there is something missing in psychology as such, that it was always missing this spiritual part of the human being. And that's how, like, I think in 1971, it was the first time when this term transpersonal psychology came about. So I will share Ellen Emmett's page as well, because she is, I don't know if you heard about Rupert Spira. She is very well-known transpersonal psychologist, Ellen Emmett. She is the wife of Rupert Spira, and there you can read a lot about transpersonal psychology on her site as well. Yeah, thanks, Dragon. Yeah, yeah. There is. I used Wikipedia as well to define transpersonal psychology. Okay, Hadron. Yeah, no problem.
if I may, say at this point, if you're able to, those of you who are present, if you're able to contribute to the sim, you see the tip jar with the flowers right behind my avatar. That would be the appropriate place to make some contribution. Nothing goes to the speaker. Nothing goes to me. I host these. I have been hosting them and speaking myself. But it goes to help keep um, the sim going, nirvana. So anything you're able to contribute would be appreciated.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3 array. 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 1, 2, 3 array.
Um,
How are love and spirituality synonymous?
because like everybody in the world, like all the religions in the world would say for God that is love. What is God? Then love. I think that every religion in the world would agree, not to mention spiritual people, that love is like the higher purpose of our lives. The only one thing that can give us, everything we really need as a spiritual beings.
So spiritual psychology is essentially then psychology relating to love. Could that be said? Relating to what we love?
Well, love is on the graph that I sent to you. Is the spiritual reality that we live in. So we live simultaneously in physical and spiritual reality, right? So the goal in spiritual reality is love. That's why the love is there in that graph, if that's what you're asking. It's unconditional love. Also, I don't know, did you got the other picture that the other diagram that I made? I can explain that a little bit. Dragon, did you send the other diagram as
Yes,
well?
I have it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I will look at that picture also to explore about that one. Just a second. Okay, so you can get a better idea. Come on, res. Okay, so we have, if you look at this scale final, I think it's the name of the diagram. You have physical, mental, and emotional realms, and then you have unconscious mind, and then you have authentic selves in the end. So when we are okay, sunset. So if you can open that. So when we are going deeper in ourselves, well, some people are using meditation, some they are using the prayer, whichever, like you can just sit in silence, doesn't really matter. If you are trying to like work on your issues or the problems or work on yourself, you came to realize that you have physical body, mental body, emotional body, and those are three things that are driven by our ego. So that's what we use in everyday life in our physical reality. So what we are using is physical, mental, and emotional body in our bodies. So when we go deeper into ourselves, we come to the unconscious realm. The unconscious realm of ourselves, right? And I can read about unconscious realm, so just to understand what unconscious mind is. So empirically, evidence suggests that unconscious phenomena include repressed feelings, automatic skills, subliminal perceptions, thoughts, habits, and automatic reactions, and possibly also complexes like hidden phobias and desires. So the concept was popularized by the Austrian neurologist and psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, of course, in psychoanalytic theory. Unconscious processes are understood to be directly represented in dreams, as well as in slips of the tongue and jokes. So this is the unconscious mind that we came about when we go deeply into ourselves. And then after that is just pure authentic selves that we find there, and there is like with this authentic self, when we live from that place of authenticity, we experience unconditional love, and all this peace and acceptance and joy and compassion and beauty comes from that realm of authentic selves. So yeah, this is your answer about love as well, especially if the question is about unconditional one, which is not really acceptable for everyone to say that there is an unconditional love in the first place at all. I understand that part, but the science that I'm just presenting right now is showing that there is a space where unconditional love is rising from, and that's our authentic self.
So when we place conditions, we actually separate ourselves from acceptance, joy, compassion, and beauty.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
I mean, unconditioned, a condition that's voluntary, it's a will. When we do a will, we say a law or a rule or a judgment.
Yes. Unconditional love came from consciousness, not from unconscious realm. From pure consciousness, yeah. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah, so the ego prevents by that act us from what is unconscious and beyond, which is spiritual.
Yeah, if we are only functioning from the ego position, ego is not so bad like people are trying to describe it. Ego is something that, like in the conditions that we are, like most of us are raised on, is something that we cannot avoid very easily. But if you are functioning in everyday life from that space, it brings you suffering. It brings you all the bad things and depressions and anxiety and all those things that I just mentioned, because we are always trying to blame the thing on someone else. We are always trying to escape our fears. We are always trying to, you know, get away from the problems that we are actually having, in a way. And that is actually what our ego does. Like, he is always trying to, you know, go around the bush and just leave us, like, to do whatever we are used to do and not to go. He doesn't really like changes, ego, you know. He doesn't like those kind of things. I have sometimes very much problem with my ego, you know, and when I feel that it resolves a lot when I get like deeper and deeper into myself, when I just sink into myself and allow myself to see and to feel whatever it is around me. How can personality experience unconditional love? Very well, that's a very nice question. I'm glad you asked that. So, how can we experience unconditional love is the question. Well, I would say by giving it. I would just say by giving it. That's how we can experience it. Without, like, judgment, without having any judgments. Like trying to be more of our authentic self. Yeah. We can have the experience of someone else loving us unconditionally. Yes, we can have experience of someone else loving us unconditionally. It's true. Without creating conditions for your love. Yeah, well, just let the person be as he is or she is, you know. Try to just let the person be and see if you can love it for what it is, for who he is or she is. Okay, let me try to see those questions here. Nearby chat, okay. It sounds like unconditional love is another realm. No, I wouldn't say that unconditional love is in another realm. I can guarantee that you can have unconditional love once you are open for it. Once you are vibrating on the same vibration, you will attract unconditional. It's just something that you attract when you are vibrating in the same way. Yes, Kat, on a higher vibration. Well, higher or good vibration. Costa, what did you wanted to say? I will love only if it doesn't work in unconditional love. I don't really understand. You think that it doesn't work in unconditional love? Yeah, right. Like many people are saying, like I cannot love unconditionally because then I will just give and will not receive anything, right? Yes. When you say if creates conditions right away. Yeah. So the first thing, if you want to experience, like how I experience my unconditional love, is by loving myself first, by like honestly loving myself. Once I mastered loving myself, it was a spontaneous act actually for me. I started to attract unconditional love in my life, basically. That's what happened with me. First you have to accept and not judge yourself in order to accept and do not judge another. So if you do not judge yourself, automatically you don't have a need to judge anyone else, because that is how it functions. It's like it's mirroring, it's reflection. So yeah, if you look into yourself well and honestly start to love yourself and accept yourself, you will honestly, not judgmentally, start loving and accept another person. Yeah. How do you go beyond grappling? Like realizing that we are divine beings, basically. and even the things that you think that you did the worst in your life are really not such a big deal. But that is something for you only to discover in yourself. I cannot like tell you those things, you know. You have to experience them for yourself. Of course, yeah, Robert, that's true. That is like the most difficult thing for people, to forgive themselves. And once you do that, everything becomes much easier. That's true. I would agree with that. You know, getting beyond grappling or clutching or judging or guilt is individual. It's really individual. I don't have a recipe that I can say, oh, this way you will do, you know, you will go beyond judging. Only thing I can say is look into yourself, you know, just looking deep inside yourself. And from that place, everything else will come, you know. Yeah, somebody can say, you know, I look inside myself and all I see is bad and negative things and emotions and stuff that were, you know, like piling all these years on you. But you need to, you know, start letting go of things, you know, letting go of your past. Yeah. Has anybody here experienced ever unconditional love? And if you are, you did, if you can share it, it would be great. When we stuck on the unconditional love subject now, all of a sudden, from transpersonal psychology to unconditional love. But it's in the flow still, so I'm just fine with that. Yeah. It is, yeah. Yeah, it's a really nice topic, unconditional love, because it seems so unreachable, so far away, so up there, you know. But it's not. It's right here in front of us, really. Just by willing to be open and kind to other people and accept them for what they are, they are, like, this part of transpersonal psychology says a lot about acceptance. I don't know if you noticed that when I was having my presentation. It's about acceptance, to accept things that are going on around you, you know. And in that way, like most of the problems, not fight, like not to fight anything, just to accept it as it is. Not to want to change anything in the circumstances that you are in, but just allow it to be. Yeah, that was a funny sound. Like a thought in Taoism. Okay. Yeah. Not to repress it. Yeah, allow anything to be. Whatever is inside of you or outside of you, you just allow it to be. Because it is what it is, right? Of course, things you want to change in your life, they should be changed, and you would need to take action to change things in your life if you want to do some change. It's not in that sense that I'm saying allow it to be, or like allow somebody to, you know, abuse you or something like that. Not in that sense at all. I'm just talking about our feelings and emotions and the things around us. Just to accept them as they are. Do not try to change the person next to you. Just listen to that person, what is he saying. Because our minds are working in sometimes our ego is saying to us, oh, I don't like this person because this person does not resonate with me right now, and, you know, I don't want to, I don't want to accept this person. I want to change this person. But in fact, like, it's a better approach if you just allow this person to be, unless it's physically damaging you, or, you know, in any kind of way, physically or mentally. Then you just move out of their way or whatever, you know. Accept the limited expression of love. Yeah. Accept the limited expression of love. Yeah, why not? Why not accept love? Love is everything. Yeah, so unconditional love. I have some videos that I might share with you. Would you like me to share a video with you guys? That you can take something from this? I can share. Yeah, I can share some videos with you. Okay, so let me see. I have one good one on unconditional love, as we were talking about that. By Tal Swan. Okay, how to love unconditionally. Yeah, so here it is. I would really recommend for you guys to take time and watch this video of Tal Swan. She is my favorite spiritual teacher of all time, I must say. She is a brilliant young woman who has she has a really rich past You can find information about her if you Google her name. So her name is tells me. I will just type it in. So she basically has all kinds of topics on her channel on YouTube, spiritual related. So whatever problem you might face in your spiritual reality right now, you can go to her just to subscribe or whatever, go to YouTube and find her videos, and you will see like a lot of different videos on spiritual subjects. And she has a very nice and very good way of presenting. She is also very unconventional, what I really like about her. It's my favorite thing about her. So yeah, also about transpersonal psychology, I can share one video with you guys. Okay, this is one. Okay, this is one short one that I will. This is like a very short one that you can like see right away. And then I can share Stanislav Grof's that are like really long ones and like for more than 1 hour. But she can he can really explain a lot about transpersonal psychology if you take time to watch his video. I'm fascinated by him as he is like now 84 years old, very clear in his head. And he's really amazing guy. Stanislav Grof. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we're Robert, are we still have time, or I don't know how we go with our presentation. Are we in time limit?
Yes. You may continue. People may stay here just as long as they wish.
Yeah, we can.
There's no time limit. I may about 10 minutes. I'll have to go to real life, but I do want to thank you at this point for your very interesting and informative talk. It attracted a number of people, and I certainly appreciate you coming here and offering to us your understanding of transpersonal psychology. It's been very helpful. And it complements some of the things that I have understood from Ken Wilber, and also in others. Trying to think of the name. There's a book, Paths Beyond Ego, and it's Walsh and I forget the other author, Roger Walsh.
Mm-hmm.
And he has articles in there by Stan Grof and all the people that you've mentioned, as well as Ken Wilber and about 20 different people. Paths Beyond Ego. It's worth looking at.
You mean Neil Donald Walsh?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
You mentioned Walsh. I'm not sure which Walsh
Yeah,
it is.
it's Roger Walsh.
Oh, Roger Walsh. Okay. Mm-hmm. project.
And then he's the editor. He's the editor of this book, in which he has a collection of about 20 contributions from various writers on this subject. And there's a woman, MD, who co-authored, rather edited with him these books. I can't recall her name right at the moment. But you go ahead with your talk. I'll just close out my mic. And thank you again. Thank you.
Yeah,
very
no
much.
problem. I will also go. Off my voice now. I would like to invite everybody to come to Mystic Academy. We are having our. If you want to know more about the subjects, spiritual related ones, we are having our well-being circles on Fridays. This Friday we will have a guest teacher presenting Hawaiian philosophy, Huna. Yeah, right. I think it will be, because I really have to admit I don't know much about this philosophy, and I would really like to learn more, so I will be there. For sure, to see what he has to say about this. The teacher is Shaman, and he is with us in Mystic Academy for a long time now, like since the opening, I guess, that he was already there, but then he was not active, so we lost contact, and now he's back again as a teacher of Mystic Academy. So I would really recommend for you to come on Friday, 5:30 p.m. Second Lifetime, to check him out. So it's about Huna, esoteric wisdom of Polynesia. Yeah, it means secret, right? Yeah, that's tomorrow. Oh my God, yeah. Okay, so I will be going off voice, but I will be still here, staying if you have any questions. So I will just type in my answers, and we can, chit chat and enjoy, go with the flow. Thank you very much, everybody, for your attention. Thank you.